Howdy everybody, and welcome back to the Chip and Dale tutorial. Today we are going to continue our project with adding more enemies. So let's get cracking. So last time, you remember when we created the spark object, we created a parent for the enemies. And we're going to need that parent so that we can to make it easier to program all of our enemies for collisions and so on. So let's add some code to our parent enemy. So first off, we want to add some collision code so that our enemies know when they have been hit by various throwable objects. So let's add a collision with some room objects here. So we're going to make this really easy by using the built-in collision system. So we have object apple and collision with room objects, and we want object box. All right, come over to the apple and add in our collision code. If other.speed does not equal 0, so if this is a thrown apple or box, and id underscore is equal to no one, and not other.used underscore. Alright, so if our other here is referring to the apple, speed does not equal 0 because we're using the speed system for when we throw these things, and my ID is equal to no one, which is to say that the ID that so there's an ID variable that the enemies will be using to ID the object that hit them, so that then they don't get hit by multiple objects while in their death state or something like that. Probably not necessary if you programmed it better, but that's the way I programmed it. And not other.used. So if the other, aka the apple, has not been used, meaning it hasn't hit something else already, then do this. So audio underscore play underscore sound underscore take underscore damage. And this is mainly so that like with the apple, it doesn't disappear when you hit an enemy. It pierces and keeps on going until it hits the next enemy, and so on and so forth. So you don't want to end up hitting the same enemy every single frame with that one apple. One false. ID underscore is equal to other.id. Other.used underscore is equal to true. And if other.direction is equal to 90, so if we are going up, then direction is equal to 135 and speed is equal to 8. Else if other.direction is greater than 90, meaning we're going left, then direction is equal to 135, speed is equal to 8, and else direction is equal to 45, so go at a right angle, or go at a 45 degree angle, and speed is equal to 8. So what is this doing? When we are hit, we are killed, so our speed and direction are set to make us go flying off at an angle off the screen. And we are basically going to copy that code for the object apple over to object box. And let's see, there's some slight differences. Yes. So in the case of the box is used up when you throw it at an enemy. So we have to add in other direction. So it'll tell the box to go flying off the screen too. So 225, 225, and you are 315. And other dot speed times equal -2. So we go at twice the speed off in the opposite direction. Alright, that should be simple enough there. So actually with the children, Spark is not going to be one of the children of the enemy object, because the Spark can't be killed. So we aren't going to include any of this code in there. So we are going to add some other enemies though. So let's start with the dog. Real quick so you can see what I'm doing. Just over here in enemies, you can add a new group, dog, and this is just me ordering stuff. You don't have to order it this way if you don't want to. And in dog, we're going to create object underscore dog. There we go. And I'll just zoom in again. Let's go over to our enemies. Dog, and we have sprite idle and sprite walk. So we're just going to give you sprite idle. Add some create. And yeah, so with the create code, we are going to be pretty much copying this code from various enemies to each other. So that'll be fairly easy. Give it a parent here real quick. Parent enemy. So then we can get our object apple and object box collision code, which we are keeping. So real quick, we're going to want to put it in a room end event. And this is because sometimes the audio for the dog likes to linger around. So just in case any dog sound is still hanging around on the screen, if the dog is on the screen when the room ends, we kill the dog sound. So we don't end up keeping on making dog noises. Back over to our create event here. We're going to copy and paste a bunch of variables that we use in various other instances. So we have our image speed 0.5, acceleration 2, max speed 1, x speed, y speed, x fraction, y fraction, gravity, jump, alarm. I don't think we really need this for this guy. I don't know if... No, actually we do need it, because the dog jumps around a little bit when he gets stuck against a wall. Fall speed, state is equal to 0. I made a really simple state machine for the dog because I didn't really want to get involved with adding user events and stuff, so I just put it all into the step event. Our previous underscore ground underscore x, jump underscore count underscore, and active underscore timer underscore. And we'll fill in what those are used for in a little bit. Get our tile map for collisions. And we want to make sure that our enemy faces the player when it is created. So we have this little code here which figures out the player on creation, figures out what direction it is to the player object, and then makes my image X scale equal to that, so I'm facing the player, and sets my max speed so that it will so that I will walk towards the player. We are also going to want to make another couple sound variables. Global.dog sound is equal to no one. And ID, which as we previously saw is used for our collision with the apple. All right, and let's go and create a destroy event. So when the dog dies, what are we going to do with it? Going to kill the dog sound and make sure that the global dog sound variable is no one. And I know I really messed up how all this dog sound actually works because I did. So there's better ways to handle the sound for these guys, but this is the way that I ended up doing it, unfortunately. Alright, we're going to add some step event stuff. Begin step, again, is just going to be a copy paste from basically our player object, because we are going to check the ground to see if we are touching ground. I should make this into like a script or something because I use it a lot, but I didn't do that. And if we get too far from the player or go outside the room, destroy myself. So yeah, don't do it in the step event or else you freeze the game for whatever reason. So if the distance to the object of parent player is greater than 256, which is greater than the width of the screen, then, well, it's greater than the width of the screen by a fairly significant margin, then destroy myself. And if I go off the left side or the right side of the screen or fall off the bottom of the room, then destroy myself too. All very simple. So last but not least, let's throw in the step event. And here's where the majority of our code is going to come in. Let's first throw in a pause event. This is again copied from our player object. So if instance exists pause, if instance exists object inventory, and oddly enough we also have if ID underscore does not equal no one. So this is basically saying that if we're dead, don't do anything in the step because we're just flying off the screen. We don't need to be animated. We don't need to do collisions or anything else. So. Alright, there is a slight delay between when the dog exists and when he starts walking. So, as part of the step event, I add in a active timer equal is. So, you remember I set up a active timer variable back at the beginning. Else active timer plus plus. You don't really have to put that in to an else. You can just throw it at the end. So this is so that the dog will stand in place for about 0.35 seconds until he suddenly realizes, oh, I should probably start attacking the player. And let's copy and paste again some more stuff. This is all going to be from the player object. And, well, actually, first off, we're going to make the world's most annoying sound. So if not audio is playing, sound dog, and global.dog sound is equal to no one, then start playing global.dog sound. And the main reason why it's the sound is all messed up and how it works is because I messed up the logic when I was doing all this stuff, and yeah. So I ended up with lots of redundant code on the sound, but it works. So I mentioned earlier that the dog will jump around if he finds out that he's stuck. And he'll jump around a little bit to try and get over whatever object he's stuck against. But if he can't get over it, then he'll turn around and start going the other direction. So we'll add a test for stuckness. You know, if we're on the ground and jump alarm is equal to 0, then if x is equal to previous underscore ground underscore x, jump count plus plus. So he tried to jump 2-3 times. If he ends up in the same x position after trying to jump 2 or 3 times, then he will turn around. But if we do manage to jump and we are no longer in the same x position, then that must mean that we got over whatever object we were stuck against. So now we reset our jump count back to 0. And we also set our previous ground underscore x equal to our current x. And then we copy paste code from our player object again, except not testing for stuckness here. Instead, now we are doing our speed fractions and speed. So x speed, y speed, add our acceleration, add our gravity, do our speed fractions, and then do our movement with collision. Just don't put these guys where they have to worry about wall/object collisions in the normal patrol area. And that's generally what you generally the good idea. But like I said, they do have the jump system in place so that if they do find themselves stuck, they can turn around and try going the other direction. Last but not least, we just throw in some animation. Make sure that our sprite index is the walk. And if I'm stuck on something, if x equals x previous and on ground, try to do a jump. Y speed is equal to -8, on ground equals false, and jump count plus plus. And if jump count is greater than 1, so in this case I have set up so that he'll try to jump twice. And if that doesn't work, then turn myself around by multiplying the max speed by -1. Change my image X scale so that I'm facing the other direction, and reset my jump count. And that's it. The dog object is now completely finished and ready to go into the game. So how are we going to get it into the game? Let's come back to our room 0 here. And real quick, just pull up the object code here. Alright, there it is. I made my enemy spawners so tiny in my base project that I can't actually see where they're at, so it's kind of hard to find them. So remember we made the enemy spawner, object enemy spawner. I'm going to put that right there. Or, no, wait. You're supposed to go above the cactus, actually. Or was there another one that I'm... Oh, wait, there is another one that I'm missing. There we go. We'll put you right there. So we have one on the trash can, one above the cactus. And we need to set these guys real quick. Variables. Currently it's set to object spark, but we don't want object spark. We want enemies, dog, object dog. Variables. Edit. Enemies, dog, object dog. Let's give it a try, see if this works. Oh, there he is. See, he jumps if he runs into an object, and walks off the screen and stops making sound when he's no longer in annoyance range. Let's see what happens. Oh, yeah, he can hit me. Let's do a delete real quick here. Oops. Oops. Looks like I'm not resetting some variables properly when I restart the game, so... Let's pick up a box real quick and see what happens when we throw the box at our dog. he goes and flies off the screen. Yay! How about this one? There we go. He goes and flies off the screen. That's exactly what we wanted. Alright, so let's exit our game here real quick and take a look at how long this episode is. Looks like we're just hitting 20 minutes, so I won't add in more objects. We have one more enemy we're going to add in, the object rat, and then we will add in the final boss and the bonus stage, and that'll be it for the tutorial. So thank you everybody for joining me. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, I would love to take them from you, so leave them in the YouTube comments. And of course, there's also a link to my Discord server if you prefer in my video tutorials at the in the information area. And also yeah, I think that's everything. So good luck with your programming, everybody.